Hey, welcome to the show. Every Sunday afternoon, we answer your home improvement questions. My name is Jared Mellick. Sitting next to me is my father, Ken.
Hey, everyone.
Surprise, surprise.
This show is all about your questions, so we're looking forward to your calls.
Where are you? You're in the house. Hey, welcome to the show. My name is Jared Mellick. And welcome to this show. It's called In the House. It's all about home improvement and construction. If you have a project that you're working on and you want to know how to get to the next step, or if there's something in the house that you need to fix, you want to know how to get started with it, this is the place to be, whether it's a structural question, electrical, plumbing, anything having to do with home improvement, you can give us a call. As you heard, the numbers are 407-297-9696 or toll free 855-297-9696. Sitting next to me is my father, Ken.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. As Jared and I are here every week, we appreciate you tuning in, and we are here for your questions.
For sure. So if you have a project that you're working on and you want to know how to get to the next step on it, if there's something in your house that's broken, maybe you have a leaky faucet, you want to know how to fix it, maybe you have an air conditioning question, plumbing, anything having to do with home improvement, we are licensed building contractors and roofing contractors. And so we own a business called Universal Roof and Contracting. We do home remodeling, renovations, roofing. And then every weekend we come in and answer your home improvement questions. But especially this week, we're going to focus on insulation because we've got Tom Mullen as well as Tony Delia with Tailored Foam. Welcome to the show, Tony. How you doing, brother?
Thank you, Jared. Well, glad to be here.
Well, you know, the thing is this is a really hot topic for people right now. As energy prices continue to rise up and up and up, and it seems like, I know even with me personally, my bill seems to get more every single month. Even though I'm trying to save money on it, it continues to rise, and I know I'm not the only one. People are out there, you know, they're checking their pocketbooks, they're checking their wallets, and there seems to be less money in it because the energy bills continue to rise. So what we're going to talk about today is some great ways of what people can do to reduce energy costs, make it where their air conditioner lasts longer, make it where their houses are better because of some of the products that we're going to be talking about today. So you are not going to want to miss today's show because we've got some great information for you, some simple things that you can do to make your house more efficient today on In the House. And again, if you want to be a part of the show, the number's 407-297-9696 or toll free 855-297-9696. So, Tony, let's start talking about insulation. What are the insulation processes that people should be looking at?
Well, Tailored Foam has been in the insulation business since 1985. So for the last 26 years, we've installed over 30,000 commercial and residential jobs throughout all of Florida and South Georgia. Tailored has a complete line of both open cell, closed cell spray foams for attics and walls, and a product that most people, commercially, most builders, architects, engineers are very familiar with, but masonry block insulation, Corefill 500,
right,
which is a very innovative product. It's very cost-effective, highly incentivized by all the utility companies to be able to insulate your walls. So we can do everything from the bottom up or the top down.
Okay, let's talk insulation 101. Let's talk about what is the purpose of insulation.
Well, the purpose of insulation is to stop the thermal transference of heat between your roof down into your home and from your walls from the outside in. Most people are most familiar with what's been out there since the 40s and 50s are blown and bats insulation, which is sitting on the top of our attics, which is designed primarily to be a vapor barrier first, to stop the transference of temperatures, the 78 degrees in your home from the 140, 50 degrees in your attic, and in turn, it's designed to stop the two temperatures from meeting and stopping moisture and humidity first. The second thing that it's designed to do is to stop the transference of heat. But it's still 140, 150 degrees above the blown or bats insulation, and that's where really spray foam comes into play. whether it's open cell, closed cell, open attic, closed attic system. It attacks the problem at the point of entry, which is at the roof level. And if you can cut down the transference of heat, keeping your attic significantly cooler, in turn your energy bills drop dramatically. Your home stays more energy efficient. It extends the life of your air conditioning unit, and in many cases, it'll cut down the cost of your homeowner's insurance. The second thing is walls, which most people usually will replace windows, which is a very good investment.
It is.
But windows to wall space is probably about 15%. So you spend a significant amount of money to make 15% of your walls more energy efficient, where the masonry block insulation, the Corfill 500, will insulate 85% of those walls for a fraction of the cost and stop the infiltration of air coming in from your walls.
All right, so let's focus a minute on attic insulation. You know, historically, the way that attic insulation was done is that you would allow whatever heat could make it through to actually penetrate the envelope of a home, and so therefore the average attic temperature here in Florida is significantly hotter than the outside temperature. And then there would be insulation, and that's where most people who are listening to this show right now, that's the way that their houses are insulated. As much heat as possible can get through. There's nothing that actually stops the heat from making it into the attic area, and then there's some sort of insulation that restricts the heat from coming down inside the living space. Now, in theory, that sounds really good, because what you're saying is okay, the inside is inside. You want it to be cooler or you want it to be warmer than the outside temperature. But what most people don't realize, or what they don't think about, and what they wasn't really taken into consideration with this whole process, is the HVAC system, because all of your ductwork for your air conditioner goes through the attic. Well, you can have the best insulation in the world that tries to restrict the heat from getting inside the attic, down inside your living space, but all of your ductwork is going through the attic. So therefore, that hot air or the hot air in the attic is heating up the cool air that's running through your ductwork.
That's correct. Spray foam, what it's designed to do is to reduce the heat load in the attic. And that's the main objective. If you can keep that attic cooler, in turn, those ducts stay significantly cooler. The air that's blowing through there is significantly cooler, and it brings a home temperate from all aspects. Usually when you talk to a lot of people and we visit with people, they'll always say, well, this part of my house is cool. The extremities are very warm, or they're very cold in the wintertime. Well, if you think about that from a common sense standpoint, the closer to the air conditioner or the heat pump, the more temperate the home is. As it webs out with the ducts, and in the summertime, for example, you can be sitting close to your air conditioning unit and it's very cool there, but the bedrooms, the remote areas stay very warm because you're blowing hot air through a duct system. If the temperature is dramatically reduced in the attic, the temperature in the ducts is significantly reduced. And in turn, when your AC turns on and runs, it's blowing a lot cooler air through a system, and in turn, the home stays cooler on all aspects and all the extremities of the home.
It is really important to make sure that we look at insulation properly, not only for our pocketbooks, but it actually causes other problems as well. The thing is that when we are when an attic, I'm in attics every single day. I'm a roofing company and a remodeling company. I'm in attics every single day, and when I get inside an attic, it's not uncommon for the temperature to be between 130 and 160 degrees. I mean, that's an oven. I mean, I put things in my oven at that degree to cook them, and so that's what it's doing, is it's literally just baking the wood from underneath, the insulation, anything that you store up there, the ductwork, the shingles. It literally just bakes the roof from underneath.
Well, yes, that's a common problem. People, when you meet with people, like when you're in people's homes and you go up into their attic and you check the temperature up there, they're almost shocked at the rate of temperature in the attic, and it exceeds 130 to 140 degrees. So, I mean, is the question, well, how will the insulation help that, or what it's designed to do to bring the temperature down?
Yeah, I mean that's the idea with the spray foam is that it cuts down on the amount of heat that actually makes it into the envelope of the home.
Well, when it's applied, when we install spray foam, it's sprayed to the underside of the roof, deck, and truss of the home at that level. And when the sun hits the roof, it's not uncommon for a roof to be 175 degrees. I mean, you're up there on a regular basis, so
right.
You can attest to that. So what the product will do is it's designed to inhibit the transference of heat from the roof into the attic, and in turn control that temperature and bring it down to outside temperature, normally anywhere between 5 to 11 degrees. So you're taking the temperature from 130, 40, 50 to 95 to 100 degrees, which is significantly reduces the heat load in the attic. And in turn, like you had stated earlier, the ductwork, the heat in the ducts stay cooler, the home stays temperate, the AC doesn't run as long and as often, and the residual benefit of that is your air conditioning works more effectively and will last you significantly longer.
Very good. Well, if you have an insulation question or any other home improvement question, the numbers here are 407-297-9696 or toll free 855-297-9696. Let's go to Anita in Winter Park. Anita, you're in the house. Go ahead.
Yes. Thank you for taking my call.
No problem.
I just had a question about the gas and electric, and because we're going to move to a house which is the water heater, the heater is stove and oven is gas, and the rest is electric.
Okay.
So my question is that I'm not sure if I will convert everything to electric or I will stay just like that.
Sure. I mean, with a water heater, the gas water heaters are very efficient. So I personally, I personally would have a gas water heater if you have gas in your neighborhood, because it's a very efficient water heater. And in regards to the other appliances, like the cooktop and things like that, it's a preference. I mean, I know that that many people are envious that you have gas in your neighborhood because a lot of neighborhoods don't, and they're trying to bury a tank in the backyard to be able to get it so they can cook with gas. So with everything else, with the appliances, it's probably more of a preference than anything else.
Okay, so the appliances I will change that to electric. Only the water heater stay in the gas.
I personally, yes, I would do the water heater as gas. You're going to find that it's more efficient.
And how about the heater? The heater.
The furnace?
The air condition and the heater is gas.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and same thing with that. That's going to be more efficient as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So on the gas side of it, it is going to be more efficient. They're typically if you have to replace them, they're going to be a little bit more expensive. But when it comes to the actual use, it is more efficient typically than the than the electric would be.
Okay. So that's my question. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Thank
Anita.
you.
We appreciate your question.
Yeah.
407-297-9696 or toll free 855-297-9696. Let's go to Sam in Wildwood. Sam, you're in the house. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Being a state licensed roofing contractor and everything, I'm having a little issue here with the spray foam insulation.
Sure.
How can whatever the roofing might be, whether it be shingles, built-up roof, tile, whatever, how can the roof actually breathe after you spray that up to the decking?
It doesn't. Well, a couple ways. One is if with a closed attic system, it doesn't breathe, but the HVAC system has to be modified to be able to handle that. And so we're roofing contractors as well. I'm real familiar with it. But one of the problems is it takes away the typical ventilation system. Like when a house is usually constructed prior to this, it was built with a ventilation system in place, so therefore it had to breathe. Well, with a closed attic system and the spray foam insulation sprayed on the underside of the roof deck, the HVAC system is actually the system that is used to actually move the air throughout the home. So, for example, when you go up into my attic, instead of it being 160 degrees, it's 78. 85. It's 5 degrees warmer than what my inside temperature is.
No, I fully understand it. Let me interject right there. I'm talking about the roofing, actual roofing. Where does the roof breathe at? The actual roofing. It has to breathe. If it doesn't, the shingles are going to start curling up.
No, first of all, the shingles themselves don't breathe, but with an open, regular ventilated attic space, the heat, what you're trying to allow that to do is you're trying to allow the heat to get out. Well, there is no heat that is actually making it through and breaking the envelope of the home. So therefore, the actual attic doesn't need to breathe the same way that it does with a regular vented system. So, but that's one system. That's if you close off the attic. But understand, with an open attic system with a spray foam insulation, what you do is you still use the ventilation system. So you don't actually close off the intake and exhaust vents with an open spray foam application.
That was a good question, though, wasn't it?
It was a good question.
Yeah, very good question.
Hey, Sam, it was a good answer, too, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Thank you very much.
Very
Thanks, Sam.
Very good, Jared.
Thanks, Sam. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Sam, for your call, man.
Appreciate your call. I hope I didn't step on your toes too much.
Great explanation.
Yeah, but it is a concern. In the past, I've had concerns about it as well. I mean, there's times where I've gotten on this radio, with this radio station, and I've talked about how in a retrofit that it's not a good idea to do spray foam insulation. I've said those words on this radio, and I still think that if it is not done properly, if you take a house that is designed to breathe, it's designed to have a ventilation system, and you close off that attic and don't address where that air goes and where the moisture goes, then you're going to have a problem. And that's why the open system works so well as a retrofit, because what you're doing is you're doing it as a thermal barrier. So you're stopping the heat from ever making it inside the attic, but any heat that does make it through, you're allowing the ventilation system to actually get that hot air out. So you take care of the moisture problems and all that. So it's a great way to do it.
Absolutely correct.
All right. If you have a question for us, 407-297-9696. Toll free, 855-297-9696. All right, let's go to Rusty. Rusty in Orlando. Go ahead.
Yes, I have a question also about the attic insulation, the foam attic insulation. Actually, I have two questions. I went out to the home show, and they had some people there talking about things. And so my questions are this. When do you decide whether you're going to close a system or leave it open in a retrofit? And the second question is, they have this silvery material they were talking about you could spray onto the roof from the underside that created a thermal barrier. Can you answer those two questions, please?
Sure.
Well, the first question, Rusty, is when would you utilize the product? There's a couple of elements that you want to look into. You have to look into the pitch of the roof. Is there adequate space up there to move around? Number one. You want to assess the size of the air conditioning unit to be sure that it's properly sized, and with those two factors, you can determine whether it's a open or a vented attic system or a closed unvented system. So there's a number. There's a number.
I'll tell you, I have a high pitch roof, and I have two air conditioning units, a 4-ton and a 3-ton, and it's only 2,500 square feet.
Yeah. Well, in a lot of instances, air conditioning units are too large or too small. That would you'd need to talk to your HVAC contractor. They would do a mathematical formulation, and if the unit is properly sized, they will give you the option to do both an open or a closed attic system, and that's what we're good at. We like to sit with people. We like to give them options on what works well for them, so that you know what all your options are. Not only one option.
And it's not just the size of the unit, it's also the amount and placement of the returns, because actually I usually find that it's not so much, that people are oversized or undersized as much as it's because the returns are really what brings that air back in. So the returns are really a key part of this, whether or not you're going to do a non-vented system, correct?
Right, and that's something that can be done very easily before you do the work. What happens in a lot of instances, contractors come out, they don't give consumers options, they take one option, and 2 or 3 years down the road, you've got mold and mildew issues in there. Tailored's philosophy is to solve your issue. And those are things that are done by consulting with with our potential clients and letting them know what they need to do prior to installing it.
Well, the other thing is that if you have somebody that all they do is just regular blown-in insulation, guess what solution they're going to come up with every time? Just blown-in insulation.
Right.
If you have somebody who just does radiant barriers, every time they go out, the solution is radiant barrier. And that's a good thing about tailored foam is that you do all those things. You do radiant barriers, you do thermal barriers, you do blown-in insulation, you do wall insulation, you do all the different types. So therefore, you look at the individual situation and what is best, as opposed to just fitting a specific client's problem to fit your only solution.
That's correct. The product, the Radiant Spray product, is primarily designed. It's a good product when it's applied, and it's application sensitive. If it's needed and you have a very, very low pitch roof and you don't have accessibility to spray open or closed cell, it's a viable option to go up there because it's going to reduce the heat load in the attic. So, you'd have to really go up there, take a look at it, find out what your objective is, and then we would sit down and give you what your options would be. But it is an option.
But you would not use both then? You would need both the thermal barrier and the foam spray? No,
you would not. You'd use one or the other.
Yeah, you definitely wouldn't do both. Rusty, thank you for your question. If you want more information, you can call Tailored Foam. Their number 407-332-0333. Again, Tailored Foam 407-332-0333. We've talked a lot about the spray foam in the walls, but I got to tell you, one of the things that I think is the coolest things that you guys do, and something that is just that is really not thought about by a lot of people, is the core fill in the walls and spraying the insulation in between the block walls. Why don't you tell us about that?
The Core Fill 500 masonry block insulation is a product that 99 out of 100 people aren't aware that's available and aware that you can do to a home. Most people assume that once the home is built and it's cinder block, you're relegated to what you have in the walls. Core Fill 500 is an excellent insulant. Masonry block walls, cinder block walls have little to actually no insulation. The product is injected right into the cavity around the perimeter of the home and the exterior garage walls. And probably our biggest advocates are the energy companies. Orlando Utilities, Progress Energy, Winter Park Utilities, TECO, they give the largest by far incentive for masonry block insulation, which significantly offsets the cost of any job that you would do.
I literally just had this done a few weeks ago in my house, and I'm telling you, this makes a huge difference. And especially, if you have OUC, especially. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you're listening to me right now and you have OUC, you absolutely need to get this done. They're paying for half of it. I mean, the rebate that they're giving, there's no cap to it, up to 50%. I mean, it's crazy how much they're paying for. I mean, it makes it so inexpensive to do. It's crazy.
The other thing that people get caught up in energy efficiency, and that's probably the largest application, but a product like Core Fill has got a high content of boric acid, a natural pesticide. So anything migrating through your walls, once that product is installed, is not going to be migrating through those walls after that. Noise reduction. You may be in a quiet neighborhood, but neighborhoods have their own noise, barking dogs, lawnmowers. It cuts down on noise, mold, mildew, dirt, dust, pollen. There's just a number of applications other than just energy efficiency for the Core Fill 500 masonry block insulation.
So with any of those types of insulation, I want you to call Tailored Foam. Again, their number 407-332-0333. Again, 407-332-0333. You can also go to their website, sprayfoamfacts.com. Again, sprayfoamfacts.com.